Hey guys, welcome back. This is the AJ Show. It's episode 14. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me is Adam Grego, also known as Adam Steele. What's up, Adam? Glad to be back, man.
Yeah, not much, man. As you can see, we have a much worse setup today. My fault. I was in a meeting for work up until 12:30. Thought I could set up my webcam or my Sony as my webcam, and I failed. So here we are using the MacBook webcam.
Which I mean, we gotta talk about that real quick because I don't want to
Yeah,
bore people. But like, all right, what is going on with Mac? Like, how are the webcams still trash?
I don't
Like,
know, dude. I paid 4,000 for this laptop, and it's not even 720p.
like I don't get it, man. Like,
Terrible.
yeah, it's not even 720. It's like, what the hell? Like, it's grainy. Like, all right, I'm not
That's
gonna like
awful.
crap on you or anything, but okay. So, yeah, I mean, we got a lot to talk about, and I think a lot of it's revolving around one of the best receivers in football, Julio Jones. Everybody's talking about him. I mean, it's a hot topic. We have, the Patriots at 450 plus 450 odds to get him. They're the favorite. My Los Angeles Rams plus 500, which I have so many thoughts about that. The Titans at plus 500, the Jaguars at plus 900, the Chargers at plus 900, and the 49ers at plus 900. Receiver for the Steelers, Chase Claypool, said he wants him in Pittsburgh. Not going to lie, I don't see that happening, but I also, if the Steelers want him, I think they could obtain him. I think they have the assets. Aiden just says, not gonna lie, I forgot y'all existed. Thanks, Aiden. He's been in my streams lately. He's hilarious. Love him. But yeah, so I think it's the Steelers have enough like ammo, but I just don't see. It's kind of like the Rams. Like, I don't see the point. You have a very deep receiver group. You just added Freiermuth. It's like obviously we know what Najee can do, pass catching out of the backfield. I just don't really see the fit there. So I guess we'll start the Steelers because that was brought up, and then we'll just kind of go up the rungs, going to the 49ers and so forth.
Yeah, I don't see it happening with the Steelers. I think it was just Chase Claypool saying, "Oh, that'd be cool," and that's really it.
And then someone wrote an article, and
Exactly.
that's how it got out there.
Turn it into a headline.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. A lot, like pretty much all the time. Articles of articles are my favorite. I hashtag that all the time. Anyway, 49ers. Okay. You have Brandon Ayuk, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Jalen Hurd, you have George Kittle. They added a bevy of weapons. Obviously in the run game, they go out, they get Elijah Mitchell late in the draft, and they get my guy Trey Sermon, mid of the draft, and they got my guy Trey Lance. Now, the question is, would the 49ers be able to, first off, would the 49ers be able to get Julio Jones and get him back with Kyle Shanahan without having to give up any of their weapons?
That's tough, man. I guess. I mean, what would they give up though? Draft picks?
Like, I think, but like, they also gave up draft picks for, because they have a first next year that they gave up to trade up to get.
Yeah. So like, what would
Lance,
you get?
so,
Just ship away your future draft next year? I mean,
call me. Aiden said they about to trade Jimmy G for Julio.
I mean,
which is
honestly,
all right.
That's not the worst idea I've heard.
I mean, if
Atlanta
can do
was
it,
open to it, yeah. Hey, you don't know, man. I mean, Atlanta, they could
true.
I mean, they're sticking with Matt Ryan apparently right now. It's not like I think he's much better than Jimmy G, and Jimmy G's younger.
Yeah, I don't think Jimmy G's a starting quarterback at this point. I just don't.
Was he ever?
I think
was he ever?
There, there was a hope that
offense?
He was. There was a hope that he was, but I really did like him coming out of college. But yeah, man, I just think he's just a guy.
He's just a guy. Yeah, I agree.
He's just a guy. I mean, but I think they knew that, and that's why they got Lance. So it's not a huge deal. I think, I don't know. That's how I'm looking at it. Now, I will say this. when we're talking about, when we're talking about the 49ers, we know that they've dealt with a ton of injuries. And so, like, for me, I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking overall that the 49ers are going to find a way to make the playoffs this year. I think they're a good team. I think they can compete. And so if they go out and they do get Julio Jones, that's going to be terrifying.
Yes. Do you think Trey Lance starts immediately?
I would
don't think
start
so,
him
right?
immediately.
But will they?
I
don't know that they will, just because.
I think they might, because we have a preseason this year. That is a huge factor I think people aren't considering. I think the preseason is going to change things for offensive linemen, especially. I think before, the Steelers probably wouldn't have started Kendrick Green. They probably would have tried to develop him. I think a team would have tried to. Now they'll see a preseason of him and will be like, okay, I'll throw him out there. And I think that's kind of the same thing with Lance. I think that's the same thing with Fields. So, I just I don't know.
And also, offenses are getting easier.
Yeah.
To an extent. Like, they're becoming a little more college, and offensive coordinators, at least the top ones, are becoming really good at just setting people up for success like we've never seen before. Just really easy reads, really good calls that just get people open. And I see that definitely being something, with Shanahan. I mean, he'll do that easily. He'll make it a pretty easy offense to run, I think. And when you have a guy like Trey Lance too, it's easy to make it easy because you can utilize his legs as well, which takes a lot of pressure off, just having that threat and utilizing that aspect of his football game.
Agree.
So it is also something to consider where just if you have a good offensive coordinator, it's easier.
Yeah, well, and then having Trey Lance and having guys that can help you yards after the catch. You look at Brandon Ayuk, obviously, he's like a running back with the football in his hand, and so is Deebo Samuel. You have Kittle. It makes sense to go out and get Julio Jones because obviously he has that familiarity with Kyle Shanahan. And on top of that, think about this. His ball tracking ability and his catch radius is just massive. It would be so good for a rookie to just give him that. I mean, that would be you could argue the 49ers doing that just off the fact that it could be absolutely huge. Like, it's, we talked about boosting, right? Like we just did that for YouTube, like the vidIQ, right? Like how that helps you with SEO. Essentially, Julio Jones is like you're buying the pro version of whatever, and you're boosting your quarterback because you're giving him a guy that can even bail him out of a poor throw, or he can give him the confidence, because if you're throwing it up there, you have Julio, by the way, through 2023, becomes a free agent in 2024. I could see that. Like, you would grow with Julio. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you had Julio Jones and George Kittle, I mean, come on. Those are two nice security blankets,
Exactly. I mean, I would
feel
not.
Great as a young quarterback.
I'd feel great. Yeah. I'd also be terrified for my own selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. I want Trey Lance to do well. I just don't want the 49ers to do well. That's such a hard thing.
That's a hard balance, because really that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Ever, actually. So moving on, we go up the rungs. The 49ers have plus 900 for Julio Jones odds. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers at plus 900. And hear me out when I say, if he were to go to the Chargers, I already have them in the Super Bowl. I might have them win the Super Bowl if they got him. You have him and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, Herb. I mean, come on. And
who's their tight end? Oh, no, they don't have Henry anymore.
No, they don't really have a great tight end, so this would be compensating. I guess
he could be,
So, I mean, think about it. You have Mike Williams, Julio Jones, Keenan Allen.
I just question that. Josh Palmer. I question that line still, and the defense.
Well, they upgraded the line, so they went out and got Slater. They got
Right.
Ode Ibushi, who was a starting caliber guard in Detroit. And they spent a killing on Corey Linsley to bring him over from Green Bay for their center.
Okay.
So they
I didn't know they added him.
Yeah, well,
I knew they had
why I figured I'd
Slater.
mention that.
I knew they had Slater, but I don't know. I don't think Julio Jones like makes them a Super Bowl winning team.
Well,
but I mean, it helps.
Most people, I would say,
with
doesn't.
With a guy like Herbert.
Yeah, I just think Herbert changes the game. They also got Matt Filer as well. I think that'll help. From the Steelers, of course. Aiden mentioned that.
PFF loves him though. PFF loves Matt Filer. He's great. Really? Oh, he's phenomenal. Because he left the Steelers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they love him when he was on the Steelers? That's the golden question there. So yeah, I think the Chargers. You look at that defense with what Brandon Staley's going to do with the defense, and then they go out and they get Julio Jones. I mean, that would just be huge. Herbert didn't have anybody like that because the thing with Keenan Allen is he's not that crazy catch radius guy. He's the guy that is such a No, he's not.
He's a route runner.
He is a monster route runner. Like he must be the most underrated receiver in the game right now. So you have him. Oh yeah, he's so good.
I think he's rated pretty high.
Yeah, but he's never like for instance, like in fantasy drafts, it's like Devontae Adams, Nuke Hopkins. Like I feel like he's in that category. Like I think he's the upper echelon of receivers because when you look at that receiving ability or well, first off, he's got great hands. Well, when you look at that athleticism, and his route running and how crisp he is as a route runner, how calculated he is, I think that's the most important thing for me when I'm watching a receiver, and you can create that separation. He ran a 4.6, 4.7 40. Like he's not super fast. He doesn't have the long speed, but he makes up for it. I compared Cooper Kupp to him, and I think they're kind of similar. So, I think Keenan Allen is top notch. And so if you go out and get Julio Jones and then you have Mike Williams, who, let's be honest here, Mike Williams stayed healthy, he could be a superstar wide receiver. He's got all the tools. He just can never stay healthy. I know you did.
Yeah.
I just was scared of the two broken necks. It's a little scary. Yeah. And the way that guy, he just, man, I don't know what it is. He
sacrifices himself.
Dude, I know.
He's a beast.
It's like watching 300.
Yeah.
Like
he's a monster.
Like he doesn't care if he puts himself in harm's way. Like he's just gonna go and he's like, oh, if my shoulder pops out, it pops out.
Right.
Like,
yeah. He's a monster.
He got hurt on Hard Knocks. He dove out. Yeah, he dove. Like they're like, why are you diving for a catch in OTAs like that? And he dove for a catch, and he had like a separated shoulder.
Oh my god, so, he's crazy.
I know, man. I know. It's nuts. So next up, they have the same odds, the 49ers at plus 900. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars. This doesn't really make any sense to me whatsoever. I understand they're not going to tank with Trevor Lawrence. I understand that Julio Jones would be their best receiver, but the receivers are really good, and Julio Jones wouldn't want to go there because they're not going to win a Super Bowl. Like,
yeah, he already said, he wants to win,
Like, I think the 49ers you can win with. I think you can win with the Chargers. You can't win with the Jaguars, not right now. Like they have a chance to revolutionize offenses in the NFL because of what they're doing. I heard they might use Tim Tebow as like a Taysom Hill type. I actually think he's going to have success. I know people laugh, but I actually think Tim Tebow will have success in this league. As a tight end. And then you have, I hate
success.
Well,
like 30 catches and a couple trick plays.
I think that's success for coming out of the league. What was it? He's been out of the league for 7 years.
Is that how long?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So, I think people forget he's an athlete and the guy's a workhorse in the gym. So he's kept himself in great shape. He's also played minor league baseball. So he had to actually keep himself in shape. He was athlete. But then I think, with what they did with Travis Etienne, really odd. It seems like they're going to use him as a receiver, but also as a running back. So like a hybrid. And then they have DJ Chark, who I really like. They go out, they get, Laviska Shenault last year in the draft, who I really like. And then they got Marvin Jones, who I think Marvin Jones is an underrated he's like a super poor man's Julio Jones in the fact that he can go up and get the ball. But then Julio Jones, you go out and you get him. I don't think the Jaguars, though, are a complete team. I just think it would make the offense a lot of fun.
Nah.
And again, it would be like a boost for Trevor Lawrence. But I just don't. Julio wouldn't want to go there, like ever.
Nah, I don't think so. But I mean, he also is rumored to want to go to the Patriots.
Yes,
but they have a rookie quarterback.
Well,
I guess he just trusts Bill Belichick, more.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that because that's where I ultimately think he goes. But let's see here. We got the Titans at plus 500, so we're moving way up the odds. We're out of the 900. We're going to plus 500.
That's my favorite.
So the Titans, from what I heard from a source, is that the Titans are not interested. John Robinson feels good about the receiving room that they had. They added Joshua Reynolds in free agency. They expect him to be a jump ball guy. He didn't really do that with the Rams. I know everyone thought he did, but he didn't.
Just because he was big.
Yeah. And then, they have A.J. Brown, of course, who's a star. And I really like Des Fitzpatrick, and they really like him out of Louisville. So, I think they might stay. They might stand pat here. I from what I'm hearing is that they're not going to make a trade. I won't. I think the weird thing is we're not going to talk about them as far as in this. They're not on this list. But hear me out when I say this: the Baltimore Ravens, they make a ton of sense.
Go for it.
Because Lamar Jackson, we've talked about. I love him as a quarterback, and I think he can develop into being pinpoint accurate. But right now, he's generally accurate. So what do I
sometimes?
What do I always say about that, though, Adam? When you're generally accurate, it's great to have a wide receiver that can change midair, contort his body, have that that catch radius. That's Julio Jones. So if you add him, you have Rashad Bateman, you have Tylan Wallace, two guys you got in the draft. You have Marquise Brown, who's kind of a bust. I'm not gonna lie.
Is he though, or is he a product of the offense that they're forced to run because of Lamar Jackson's skill set?
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
People don't have this conversation enough, and I just probably sound like a hater because I'm a Steelers fan.
No,
and he's on the Ravens, but I feel like people don't have the conversation enough of the reason potentially that all these receivers don't have success is because of the offense that they're forced to run because of Lamar.
No, I feel that. I really like Lamar Jackson. I do think he can develop. I think the thing with Lamar Jackson is he's more of a pocket passer than people realize, and he's a running quarterback. So
I've never seen him have success as a pocket passer. That's how the Steelers have made him so bad when they play him.
But when the Steelers play him, what do they do? They force him out of the pocket.
They force him to stay in it. They're one of the best at it.
Because what I think with Lamar is that the common misconception is that he can't throw from the pocket. I believe he can, but when I watch him, his biggest issue, Adam, by far, is that he's not a Donovan McNabb. He's not a Michael Vick. People always want to compare him to those guys.
No.
He can't throw on the run. His accuracy takes a dive off a cliff when he throws on the run, unlike Michael Vick, who loved to throw on the run, could throw with pinpoint accuracy. And that's my thing. If Lamar figures that out, I think he can be absolutely lethal. And I also want to say this. I talked to a Ravens fan the other day. I think people are starting to sour. I'm not saying in the organization. I think Ravens fans are starting to sour on the offensive coordinator, Roman, because I think Roman, people look at what he did with Kaepernick and they look, well, Kaepernick was lethal, right? Kaepernick led them to a Super Bowl. And then Roman started trying to turn him into a pure pocket passer. I think it's quite the opposite with Lamar Jackson. I think he's kind of holding back Lamar Jackson, and they're not developing him outside of the pocket. So I think when he gets into those, that opportunity where he has to throw it, that's when he's going to get picked off, or that's when he's going to take off and run and make a reckless decision. So
I disagree, because to me, passing on the run, throwing on the run is not something that you develop, really. I mean, Pocket passing, yeah, you develop because there's an aspect of like progression and timing and all that stuff. But at least my experience of watching quarterbacks who are phenomenal at throwing on the run, like Ben in his younger years, some of the stuff that we've seen Josh Allen do, Russell Wilson, they were good at it really from the jump. Like it's just because they have that ability.
You mentioned Josh Allen.
Okay, we can leave Josh, but my point is
No,
like those.
but I'm saying he developed in that era because like here's the thing, like, he struggled with that early on at Wyoming. He got better, and that's my point. So I honestly think Roman's just not, he's not developing Lamar.
So I think he just got better overall. So Josh Allen, bad example. He wasn't good anywhere really as a passer, and this was a bad example. Fair enough, but guys like Aaron Rodgers, Ben, like Russell Wilson, put in Deshaun Watson, put in your guy who can do that. They never really had to develop it. They just had a great feel for breaking free from the pocket, moving around, and just kind of making that play happen. Like if you were going to say, he needs to develop from the pocket, that's one thing, which I agree with a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll just sign off again by saying like my stance on Lamar Jackson is what it is as far as his passing, because look at his stats against the Steelers and the 4 times he's played them. They're not good at all. And what they did was they kept him in the pocket better than 99% of NFL teams. And he couldn't overcome it. He couldn't make the plays from the pocket. So, I
think they just have a great game plan for him, and that's like his kryptonite.
Well, then how would you from the pocket? You mean passing from the pocket is his kryptonite right now?
Well, no, I think when he plays against the Steelers, I think everything that's instinct to him goes away. And I think then he starts thinking too much. I've seen it before because they're so calculated in their approach, and this is why I like Keith Butler and I've liked him for so long, is that they'll be very calculated in the fact that they will blitz, they'll use stunts, they'll confuse the hell out of Lamar. He's not going to know where the blitz is coming from. You have guys like TJ Watt and Bud Dupree, obviously still he's not with them anymore, but when you had guys like that coming off the edge that are like premier talents, but also athletes that can actually chase down Lamar Jackson. And then you have guys in the interior like Hayward, like Atuit, like, Hargrave back when he was with them, like guys that can, make a mess in the interior. And then you have all this pressure coming every which way. You have Hayden and you have Steven Nelson, who's no longer with the Steelers. I'm not going to be surprised if they bring him back, though. I'm going to say that. But Steven Nelson and Hayden, you have them holding it down. I would argue he hasn't had the best receiver group, so obviously they're not going to create separation off those guys.
But why would you argue that?
I don't think he has the best receivers. But yes, they did. They put a lot of capital into it. I just don't think they were that great.
I get annoyed because I'm like, great quarterbacks make receivers. Like Ben Roethlisberger, look at all of his receivers.
That's my argument with Stafford. Anytime I say that.
Let me finish. Yeah, so again, my example is like as a Steelers fan, I watched Ben make no-name receivers, 1,000-yard receivers, guys that the second they leave the Steelers, they're irrelevant. They don't, like AB and Emmanuel Sanders are the only two who really made names for themselves after leaving. And so to me, again, a great quarterback can lift his skilled position players. And Lamar has a first-round receiver, Marquise Brown. He has Miles Boykin, who I really liked, and I think they don't utilize him like at all. It's just kind of weird. But and then he has Mark Andrews, who's phenomenal.
Well, he's their best.
Yeah, and
he's absolutely their best.
And he's had some other good free agent guys who have been productive other places come in there, and people keep trying to say no, it's just the receivers. It's like that doesn't fly with me, man. Look at all the great quarterbacks in the NFL; they make the receivers good.
Yes, I'll say this. I wasn't the biggest Marquise Brown fan coming out anyway. I also think his skill set is limited. Like his frame, like everyone's talking about Tutu Atwell and Smith's frame, Devontae Smith. He had like a similar body type. He was like 160, 170 pounds. Like,
Brown.
And that's the thing is like I feel like Lamar the whole time has actually been misunderstood by, the powers that be in that organization, not realize that, again, he needs to be able to throw this. He wants to give everybody an opportunity. I've seen him do it a lot with Marquise Brown, but Brown will not go up and get it. Like that's not his game. So what I think is that by going up and getting Bateman, you have a really good catch radius in him.
If he doesn't make plays with Bateman, I don't want to hear it, because Bateman is
unquestionably. Well, that's my argument. That's my argument, though, and I think it's not really his fault that they don't use Boykin. Like, I agree with you. Boykin's exactly what he needs: a 6'4", field stretcher that can go up and high point the football. But they don't use him. So, I mean,
when they do, he doesn't get it to him. He doesn't make the plays to make anything happen.
I just don't think he's on the field enough. They don't have the chemistry. And I think their offense is going to be very interesting this year, because, like, what are they going to, they run the ball a ton. So,
and they have Alejandro Villanueva, who is one of the worst run blocking linemen, and now they're going to run that offense with him. Good luck, dude.
That's actually really funny. I always forget about that. And then he threw shade at you guys.
Just run away from him. That's my advice to Greg Roman.
Yeah, Greg Roman,
his way.
If they can't get things going, I think Greg Roman could be on the hot seat. And it's not even like,
yes, for sure.
I think he already kind of should be on the hot seat, because I feel like he's holding back the offense. He's trying to make them way too run heavy, and I think that's been an issue.
But it worked really, really well.
It did.
People loved it. And now, because Lamar isn't making the passing plays, it's Roman's fault.
But I think it was the same thing with the Niners and Kaepernick. I think he went away from things that were working, and then he tried to do something different.
And also, that stuff starts to get figured out a little bit.
But that's the thing. I think he's a guy that gets figured out. But they're not even on this list. What are your thoughts on that? They're not even on the Julio Jones odds list.
Because I think people don't look at their team as like a passing team.
Yeah, but if they get Julio Jones, that definitely changes things.
I'll just end it by saying, since it sounds like I've been hating on Lamar, but even before he was a Raven, I was not sold on him by any means. So this is not just because he's a Raven. If he was on the Steelers, I'd be saying the same stuff. If he was on, name your favorite team, I'd be saying the same stuff. So I'll just say this. He's definitely, without a doubt, the most talented quarterback as far as athleticism in the NFL right now. Best tool set. He's got a crazy strong arm, and he's faster and can juke anyone else out on the field. So as far as like talent, he's phenomenal, but that doesn't mean you're going to put it together and be this top 5 quarterback for a decade. Like, look at
his arm's kind of funny because he barely throws the football. Like, it looks like he just
he's got such a great arm. Yeah. It's so strong.
And the weird thing with him is he actually has a lot of touch. So like
it's like Vic's arm. Vic had a crazy arm.
Vic's arm, though, and this is where it's different, is Vic is like
strength.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, he would throw like fastballs. Like, remember, like we used to joke about that when we were like little. Like, Vic just throws like, he's like, oh, you can't catch it, like 120 mile an hour fastball at your like chest, But like Lamar is more of kind of like he lollipops it. He throws like there's a lot of air.
He does have some touch. He'll put touch on it. It's not accurate, but he'll put touch on it. Okay, so there you go. So,
and then Andy on Periscope, Browns should be on this list. IMO. I agree. I think the Browns could make a play. I think they're a team that isn't being talked about, but either you trade Odell for him straight up and like picks or something, or you just basically you try to put Odell and Jarvis with Julio.
Dude, imagine.
I mean, that's what I would do.
That's a nightmare.
Because I do
with
think...
With Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt?
Oh, my God.
I'd quit.
Their defense is also stupid on paper.
On paper.
They got John Johnson and Troy Hill. Yeah. And
on paper, it's definitely dumb. And JOK.
Oh, my God. I forgot they got JOK. I already forgot. Yeah, dude. I literally hate the Browns. No, I'm kidding.
On paper...
I really like what they've done.
On paper, they're the best team in the NFL, right? Maybe not because of Baker.
No, I know. I think you're right. Yeah, no, that's true. I think Baker makes an argument, but I don't think it'd be an argument if they had like an elite level quarterback. Everything around.
I mean, Dude,
everything around them is
if they
just
had an elite quarterback, they'd be a dynasty.
dude. Even if they
Like an
had
Aaron Rodgers,
dude, even if they had, well, okay, let's say what Aaron Rodgers. What if they got Aaron Rodgers?
dude,
Why has no one talked about that?
I've seen Browns fans. Some of them want him, but a lot of them are like, "No, we like Baker. I'd rather have him." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You'd rather have Baker?" Like, I'm a Ben diehard loyalist. Right now, you give me 3 more, even if you said Ben has 5 more years, and obviously this isn't true at all. Like, Rodgers is younger, has more years left, clearly. But like, say you were like, you could have Ben for 5 more years, or you could have Aaron Rodgers for like 3. I'd be like, yeah, just give me Rodgers. Like, I'm sorry, but
that's a
and
no-brainer.
like if I'm the Browns, yes, you could say I'd have Baker for maybe 10 more years, maybe a little more, but Rodgers for like 5.
Have they paid him yet?
No.
See, to me, if you haven't paid him yet, it's really easy to part with him.
I would take 5 years of Rodgers over right now with that Browns team over 10 years of Baker. Because I think you have a real possibility of winning like 3 Super Bowls in that 5-year window.
I don't know how the hell you're stopping Rodgers in the Browns. If he goes there, how in God's name
I don't think you could.
are you going to beat that team?
Because if you shut Rodgers down because he has one bad game, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to it's fine.
Literally everything I say when we're talking about the GOAT conversation, Rodgers has had two in his career top 10 defenses. His best receiver came at age 33 in Devontae Adams. So if he had Jarvis Landry, Odell,
and Julio just for fun,
and Julio, just for fun, my God,
yeah, dude, that would be nuts.
I mean,
they would
win
the Super Bowl every year.
That would just be crazy.
Yeah,
the Browns are, and we didn't even talk about their offensive line, which is just stupid.
Why not try and swing a trade like that on the Browns? Like, hey, Packers. Baker Mayfield and like 2, 3.
The NFL's the no loyalty league. There's no reason why anybody should think that like they shouldn't go after like Rodgers.
If you're the Browns, what could you give up to get him?
And honestly, if you can't get Rodgers, I'm this serious when I say this because I don't hate Baker Mayfield, but I've definitely soured on him a little bit. Why would you not go out and get Russell Wilson if not Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, he's younger, so you get even more time with him.
Yeah, I mean, I would be looking to upgrade. We just said it. That's the weakest spot on their roster.
Yeah. I mean, what could you give up to get Rodgers if you're the Browns? Could you include Baker, or is that just not enticing?
Oh, you'd have to include Baker.
Do you think it's enticing, though? Do you think it's like
the Packers would just take him and then probably trade him away because they like Love. Or they trade Love. That's the thing. I think the Packers would just they would take him for the trade, or they could do a rare 3-team trade and maybe send Baker somewhere else. Baker to the Texans and just all right, go figure that out.
Yeah.
But no, I think the Browns,
the Browns with Aaron Rodgers
and potentially Julio Jones. That'd be nuts.
So stupid.
3-team trade. NFL needs to follow the footsteps of the NBA. Andy, exactly. Yeah. So basically, guys, if the Browns get Aaron Rodgers and they listen to Adam and I, the world is over.
But they're not. They won't. They like Baker, and that's fine. I get it.
Kind of.
I mean, I don't get it.
No,
but
I
get
know.
it.
So then we have at plus 500, the Tennessee Titans are actually on this list, and I've already said I don't think, just from what I've heard, John Robinson isn't making that trade. Should he make the trade though?
For the Titans?
I just don't feel like the Titans are that close. I feel like they kind of took a step back. They lost a lot of guys on their defense. I honestly, I'm a little sour on the Titans this year. And normally I'm really high on them, but I think
they lose on D? Who are the big names?
Adoree Jackson. Well, they got rid of him, so it was weird. Adoree Jackson,
weird.
Butler.
He didn't even call that much. You could.
I know. I don't get it at all.
I wanted him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he would have been great. He's now in New York with the Giants, and that defense, that Patrick Graham is is putting together is quite a scary one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think with the Titans, I just don't think that they're close enough to garner. I think the reason they're being connected is because the head coach of the Falcons was the OC, Arthur Smith, for the Titans. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I don't expect the Titans to be that close this year, because Arthur Smith is gone. I think you'll see a kind of a decrease in offensive production without Arthur Smith. And why is no one talking about the fact that the defensive-minded coach in Vrabel let his defense regress heavily last year? They were on a fast track. I thought that they could have been in a Super Bowl, and they were on a fast track to that. And now I don't know.
I feel like their window kind of shut, to be honest.
It's not like
they had like a 3-year window
forever, but I do.
No. But like the prime opportunity was there these last 2-3 years. It's going to be tougher for them to get back in position. They're still going to be. Well, I don't think you have them as a playoff team, do you? Didn't you say they're going to miss?
No, I like the Colts in that division, man.
Right, yeah. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. I also have to wonder.
Man, I have 3 teams from your division, and then I have the Colts. So it's like, how the hell are the Titans going to make it?
I also wonder, like, when do the wheels fall off of Henry? Because, God, I love him, and he is a beast.
You can't run anybody like that, though. 30 times a game.
Exactly. Oh, it's crazy what they put him through.
How much he ran at Alabama and how much he ran in college, at high school, at Yulee High School.
I mean,
he was.
So I question that. Yeah. So I question that a little bit too. No,
I hear you. I mean, if anybody is likely to break down by age 30, unfortunately, it's Henry. That guy has so many
violent.
treads on his tire. Yeah, exactly. Very violent.
He's just a violent runner. Yeah. But he's also a big boy, so
Yeah. So now we get to my team, the Rams, at plus 500 as well. I think they should be a little higher than the Titans because I think the Titans are out of it. But now the Rams, out of the blue, went from 6,000 to plus 500, like overnight.
Do they know something?
It like almost appears so. So like
the odds makers find something out.
So friend of my show, Steve Weiss of the NFL Network, and Peter Schrager have both connected the Rams to Julio Jones. Let me just explain. The Rams have done big money moves. They've gone out, they've gotten Ramsey, they've gotten Peters, they've gotten Talib. Like, they do this. This is what they do. So
Classic Rams.
I don't think it's like this. It's not that hard to put Vegas odds on a team that does this all the time. In a league that doesn't trade like the NBA, the Rams trade like it's the NBA. So I'm not surprised by that. What I'm surprised by is the fact that, like, they would even do this when they have arguably the deepest wide receiver group in football. When you look at Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, the 2 guys that led the league in yards after the catch the last 2 years. You have Van Jefferson, a promising second-year receiver that you could argue was held back by Jared Goff. Now you have Matthew Stafford. You go out, you get Deshaun Jackson, who you're paying a decent amount of money for to be your 4th receiver. You drafted a second-round receiver in Tutu Atwell. Like, I would
say the reason it still would make sense is because Matthew Stafford thrived with Calvin Johnson, and the Rams don't have anyone like Calvin Johnson in that stable, and Julio Jones would be the closest thing to it.
That makes sense. I also think, when you look at what, Stafford was able to do with a guy like Golden Tate, a 5'9" receiver, undersized, was able to do with him, what was able to do with Danny Amendola, Hunter Bryant, Jesse James. I mean, all sorts of Quintez Cephas, Marvin Jones. I feel like the best way I can explain this, and I did this last night, the Rams are like, this would be like a big splash move. And I feel like that big splash move, the transformative move, was when they got Stafford. Because what you're saying is that when you got Stafford, you were admitting that you have everything. He was the missing piece. And you can get great production out of your second-year receiver in Van Jefferson. You can get great production out of Tutu Atwell, down the road and all that with Stafford. I don't think you need to go out and get Julio Jones when you don't have the most salary cap ever.
No,
you don't. And on top of that, you probably have to give up picks, which you've already given up 2 first-rounders for Matthew Stafford. You owe the Jaguars, picks for Jalen Ramsey in this draft. I think they're done with that now. So it's just picks for Matthew Stafford, but it's the next 2 first-round picks. I don't think it was too much to give up for Stafford, but I do think eventually, like if you find yourself picking in the 3rd round next year, that's not ideal.
It'll come back to bite you. No, eventually it compiles, right? Because like
exactly,
your first round picks really don't become core members of your team until like the best ones are like second year is best case scenario. A lot of them is it's not like till 3rd or 4th year, right? Because you got those 5th year options that you're picking up based on the 3rd and 4th years. So that kind of stuff definitely compounds. So it'll show up down the road if you keep doing stuff like that, or at least that's what I believe. And if I was the Rams, I wouldn't do it. I was just, saying from a skill set standpoint, technically you don't have anyone like him. And he was really good with Calvin Johnson. So I could see the desire for it, but I don't think you need it. And I definitely don't think it like dramatically changes the outlook of your season if you add him,
Well, and I agree with that. And, I just think it's a big risk for a 32-year-old wide receiver.
He's 32. Yeah.
He's had, operations done on his foot. I mean, he's not as injury prone as people think. Like if you look through his statistics and his game logs, he started 134 games. He started 13 his rookie year, 15 his second year, 5 his next year. That's his worst year, right? He got hurt that year and he still had 580 yards in 5 games. 2013. 2014, 15, 2015, 16, 2016, 14, 2017, 16, 2018, 16, 2019, 15. And then last year he had 9 games and went for 771 yards, 15.1 yards per reception. So clearly, like he wasn't falling off. It's just an injury derailed his season. So that's a good sign. But you do always have to worry about that. 32, I mean, that's right around the end of your prime. Most players' prime, it's 27 to 32. You got about 5 years. And, you can stretch that. I mean, look at Andrew Whitworth, and this might honestly be the Rams' thought process. Andrew Whitworth is 40 now, I believe, and he is still one of the best offensive tackles in football. Like, he keeps himself in great shape. So
yeah, but he's also a lineman.
That's true.
You don't have to be super nimble and super explosive to be a great offensive lineman,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. But, I just worry about, like, Larry Fitzgerald started to fall off. And when it happened, it just happened, like, it seemed like it was overnight.
That's generally how it goes with the skill position guys.
Yeah.
It really kind of does.
He's 37. And, like, I guess for comparison's sake, he was Julio Jones's age in 2015. He had 109 receptions, 1,215 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's pretty damn good. If we were going by Fitzgerald's statistical output at that age,
who was his quarterback?
2015, I have to imagine that was Carson Palmer.
Well, he's not terrible.
Yeah, it was Carson Palmer. So that's pretty good at age 32, which Julio Jones would be. And I mean, he's kind of the same player Fitzgerald was. I would argue maybe even better. Fitzgerald, 107 catches, 1,023 yards in 2016. Still, back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons at age 33. Age 34, which I believe Julio Jones would be at the end of his contract with the Rams if they made this deal, 109, 1,156 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So, I mean, he was still productive, but if you notice, as soon as he hit age 35, he played all 16 games, and he went down to 69 receptions for 734 yards.
But who was his quarterback?
Let's see.
Fair question.
That is a fair question, especially because he had 112 targets and only caught 69 of them. It was Josh Rosen and Sam Bradford. Well, and then 2000, the next year he had Kyler Murray, and he played. all 16 games and had 804 yards on 75 catches. So he just wasn't the same. And then last year, of course, with Kyler Murray at age 37, he had 54 catches for 409 yards, played 13 games.
He's kind of getting phased out.
Well, now
They
he's
just
not
don't
even on a
utilize
team,
him,
and he might retire. So I guess my thinking is that looking at Fitzgerald, I think that's the best comparison. A guy that stayed relatively healthy, who's had, he's had his nicks and bruises. He hasn't quite had a major injury like Julio, where he had to miss the entire season after playing 5 games. But you could argue Julio and Fitzgerald are the best comparison. And if you feel like Julio Jones at age 32 can replicate what Fitzgerald did, I'm sorry, but 32, 33, and 34 years old, that's what the Rams would have out of Julio. Fitzgerald had 3,394 receiving yards on 325 receptions and 21 touchdowns. That is with Josh Rosen, Sam Bradford, and Carson Palmer. I'm not going to lie, that is enticing because Julio Jones should have a lot more production with Matthew Stafford and with the weapons that are around him and just playing on a better team. I mean, if you look at Arizona in 2015, like they were 13-3, don't get me wrong. You look at them in 2016, they were 7-8-1. You look at them in 2017, they were 8-8.
Yeah, but is it worth? What would you give? They were looking for a second round or a first round pick. Remember that report?
Yeah, well, the Rams wouldn't be able to do that.
So what would you give?
It would have to be a second round pick.
I don't. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
But there's no way in hell that the Falcons are going to take just a second round pick and not a young receiver. I keep telling people this. If you trade for Julio, bye-bye Van Jefferson or Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods or Tutu Atwell or, not Deshaun, but one of those guys.
Unless he forces his way out. Julio's kind of being kind of aggressive about his desire to leave. He's like, I ain't going back, So what if he's just he could pull some, obviously he's not AB. He's a much better person than that, but just some AB level stuff where he's very just I'm leaving no matter what. I don't care. And teams know that. So then they can finagle him, maybe, just give a second round pick,
So Rams House is saying he is forcing his way out. So it could be the Rams might be able to get a good bargain on him. And he said, not to mention Julio is more athletic than Fitzgerald. So that's another thing. Plus he'd just be in a way better situation. And that's also another good thing Rams House mentions on YouTube. The Falcons are losing leverage by the day. So as this thing continues to roll,
it reminds me of the Steelers and AB situation, man.
I know, and they got nothing for him.
No, they actually did really well considering what did they get
initially? Because didn't they trade him to the Bills?
They got 2 third-round picks or something. Yeah, 2 thirds and something else, I believe, or maybe it was a third and 2. I don't remember exactly, but it was good because he went to the Raiders and didn't play a snap, so we finessed them. Remember? He didn't even play.
I do remember that. Well, he originally got traded to the Bills, and then he vetoed it. How did that work?
Right. That's what the rumor was. I don't know. I really don't know if that
was
actually
so weird. And he looks dumb now having done that because look at the ability and all the production Stephon Diggs has had in that offense.
Oh, I know. But he did win a Super Bowl, so
okay. All right. He's not as dumb. Yeah. And then he went to the Patriots, which is just so weird seeing him in the Patriots uniform. Yeah. Caught a touchdown, and then we didn't see him again. Okay, the Steelers got a 3rd and a 5th, says Rams House.
That's what it was? Thank you, sir. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah.
He's on his game, man. He's all over it. We got Nolan in here. We got Rams House, Andy. Appreciate y'all. Okay, so now we'll move on. So I'll say this. I didn't change my standpoint, but I can understand the Rams trading for Julio a little bit more. I don't want to see them give up a 24-year-old receiver in Van Jefferson, though.
I get that, yeah.
It's I do really like him, and I think he's going to be I think he's going to be Pro Bowl talent. And that's the thing people don't get is they're just he had 200 yards last year. I'm like, yeah, he had Jared Goff, and he had the 2 yak guys ahead of him. Atlanta is also in deep salary cap hell, according to Nolan as well. Van or Woods is who it would be, says Rams House. Now we'll move on to the Patriots. By everything I've heard, this is where was always going. Wants to play with Cam Newton, wants to play with Bill Belichick, play for Bill Belichick, and he wants to win. And the Patriots win. They had a tough year last year with 10 COVID opt-outs.
I just don't know how you say I want to win and then say the Patriots.
Well, you look at that roster and you're like, all right. And you know what? I think people are higher on Mac Jones that are in the league than outside of the league. And so that's another thing I'll say. I think what they're going to utilize Mac Jones. I think he's going to be your starter, and I think Cam Newton is going to be your goal line guy. I really do. I think that's what they're going to do.
I heard the opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
No, because they're going to use Cam Newton to run the ball at the goal line. He's like automatic.
Oh, right. You mean like inside the 20s? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine.
So what I would say is that, look, you have the Patriots here. They have a receiver who has turned into somewhat of a bust, who probably needs a change of scenery. N'Keal Harry. I think you offer him in a second or offer him in a first, and I think the Falcons take that.
Yeah. Okay, if he wants to go there. I don't see them being a great team, but it is fair to point out, like, yeah, they had a lot of opt-outs.
Yeah.
They're getting a lot of people back.
They had 10 COVID opt-outs. I'm not saying they're getting all those people back, but I am
Mac
saying
Jones,
that, you know.
I mean, Mac Jones is perfect for Bill Belichick, you know.
I think Mac Jones, and you know, because I said this on our show a few shows ago, I said Mac Jones can win Rookie of the Year.
I guess I could see it.
That was with the Niners, but I think the Patriots have some good weapons. I think people are sleeping on what Aguilar can do as a deep ball guy. I think people are sleeping on what Kendrick Bourne can do and how he was kind of not held back because he played his own role with the 49ers, but he's a lot better than people give him credit for. And, you know, then you have Jacoby Myers, who's solid, you know. They have a really good offensive line, you know, all across the board. Isaiah Wynn, Michael Onwenu, David Andrews, Shaq Mason. They got Trent Brown back from the Raiders.
I like their line for sure.
Hunter Henry, Johnny Smith.
Wait, they added Hunter Henry?
Yeah, they added Hunter Henry.
I didn't know that. I thought he went somewhere else.
So they added Hunter Henry, Johnny Smith, and then they have Damian Harris, who I love. They added Ramondre Stevenson in the draft. They have Sony Michel and James White. Their secondary is pretty good. When you look at that, they have J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore. J.C. Jackson had like 8 interceptions last year, and he's really turned into a stud. I believe he's a UDFA at him. What was it? I want to say Maryland. And I had him. He was my cornerback 7. He didn't even get drafted. They added Adrian Phillips. They added Kyle Duggar last year in the draft. Joshua Bledsoe from Mizzou, who I really like, 6th round pick. Devin McCourty. They added Jalen Mills from Philly. I think he's going to be a safety. Justin Bethel. And then they have Joanne Williams, who they're hoping can develop. You know, the Vanderbilt 6'3" corner. Michael Jackson from Detroit. And then they got Adrian Colbert as well. So they have a lot of pieces back there, as well as Miles Bryant and Jonathan Jones, who could play the nickel. Miles Bryant looked really good last year in limited opportunities.
I might be sleeping on the Patriots a little bit.
I'm telling you, man, you might be, because they made all these moves. We didn't even just talk about. They got Matt Judon. You know, that's going to be a huge pickup for them, I think. So they got Judon. They have Anthony Jennings, who they got from Alabama in the draft last year. Lawrence Guy, Dietrich Wise, they brought back. They added Christian Barmore to bolster the interior from Alabama in the 2nd round. Byron Cowart, Devon Godchow.
I think the reason I like Mac Jones with the Patriots. I think that's what's kind of pushing me towards reconsidering my initial prognosis of them.
Yeah.
Like, if they were just going to ride with Cam Newton again, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever, have fun, New England. Like, you're not doing anything, because he's just not that guy. I'm sorry. Some people still try to fight it and say, like, no, Cam Newton can do it all. He can be your every down quarterback. And it's like, no, dude, he just can't. Like, if you watched his games last year, it was bad. It was just really bad. Not good, not accurate, awful reads, not on time. It was just a whole heap of bad. But Mac Jones coming in there and being the actual quarterback, and then sure, you want to kind of get cute in the red zone. You got a big body quarterback like Cam Newton. That could work. That could work. And so maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Well, what I would say, Adam, is that this team won 7 games last year. They were 1 game out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that was all with their quarterback getting COVID in the middle of the year. That was with 10 COVID opt-outs. And that was with Cam Newton having 10 interceptions and 8 touchdowns. So what I look at is a team that fought through even all of those turnovers and had a chance at the end to do it. And so I think that's a credit to Bill Belichick, who I say is the best coach, because he was able to get through all of that and almost send them to the playoffs without Tom Brady, without, think about this, Dante Hightower, the man in the middle, a linebacker that is like not only a star, but he is a very key component to their defense. He's a leader. They didn't have him, tons of people they did not have. And so for me, I kind of look at that and I'm thinking, well, Belichick didn't fall off after Brady left. Belichick stayed the same coach. He just had to be more creative. And when you saw the way he adapted, they used Cam Newton and they went more, run heavy. That tells me that Belichick can adapt to today's game. He's not out of touch. He's not stuck in his ways. And it's not just Tom Brady. And so if Mac Jones comes in here and plays well, they have a roster that can compete and that can get to the playoffs and can get into the playoffs and far into the playoffs. I'm not saying they can win a Super Bowl because that's putting a lot of pressure on Mac Jones. But what I see here is that this defense, with guys that don't get mentioned enough, like Henry Anderson, underrated pickup, Ronnie Perkins, a 3rd-round pick, Cameron McGrone, Jawan Bentley, Raekwon McMillan, Joshua Uche. I mean, they have a lot of talent here. Chase Winovich, they added Kyle Van Noy. This defense is loaded, and no one's talking about it. But I think this defense is going to be top 5 in the league. And then I think their offense, with all those weapons, it doesn't matter if it's Cam Newton, Mac Jones, or even Jarrett Stidham. There's enough weapons there to move the football. I'm not saying they'll be the best offense in the league. They don't have to be, but they can move the football, and they have a fantastic defense. So I'm feeling really good about the Patriots this season and on. Really good.
Okay.
I really like what they're doing.
All right, fair enough. So they should probably get Julio Jones.
So are you bought in that he can win there?
So what does winning mean?
Can he win a Super Bowl with them?
No.
Well, keep in mind
you have a Super Bowl.
Not this year, but keep in mind you have Julio until his contract expires in 2024.
They'd have to get
that's
dramatically better in the next 2 years for me to say they're a Super Bowl team. It's way too early to call.
If Mac Jones plays like rookie year Daniel Jones, how many wins do they get? Because he had his moments.
Ooh. 8?
See, I think they win 10 games with a rookie year Daniel Jones. But I think...
wait. Let me throw in the 17 games, so like 9.
Okay. So we're kind of around the same 9 to 10. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that they need to roll with Mac Jones and use Cam Newton in the red zone. I think that's what they should do.
Sure. So I guess, but like, does that help your quarterback develop, taking him out of red zone situations where things get tight and your reads got to be quicker and better?
It's just a 1-year thing though, because you have Newton on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I know, but like
Newton was entirely insurance because they didn't want to feel. I honestly think what Newton was. It was more than insurance. It was to safeguard everyone knowing what they were going to do in the draft.
If I was a quarterback and I'm a young quarterback and I'm developing,
yeah,
the last thing I would want to do is being taken out in the red zone.
I know that. These are competitors, man. No one's like, yeah, I don't want to score touchdowns.
No, not even for the stats. It's like my development. It's like, what would you like? I don't know, man. Like, think about like, what if you as a developmental YouTube maker, right? Like video maker, and you were like, okay, I recorded everything. I have all the tools at my belt to get me the video recorded. I recorded it all. I got the stats in there. I have all the resources to put the video together. And then someone is like, I'm going to edit it. And you're like, what? I'm going to edit it. And they take it and they edit it. And then they pop it out. You're like, okay, but how did you do that? How did you make the end product? How did you?
Oh my God.
What do I do? You know?
It's true.
Seriously, think about it. Because then the red zone's hard, man. It's a different breed of football in the 20s. It's different.
Yeah. It's hard unless
but
you're
I don't know.
Marcus Mariota.
I don't think Mac Jones is like some idiot, but it's just something to consider. If I had a first round quarterback, I'd be like, no, I want him in there. Just every aspect of the football field, I want him to have experience in,
I hear you, man. We talked for an hour about Julio Jones. That's it. Just Julio Jones. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
I mean, that's the hot topic. This entire we've never done that before. One topic, and we talked about that the entire time. But I think, when all you need is a topic when you have no idea what to talk about, and then I think you just kind of take off. Like, obviously, you and I have been talking football since we were little, and so anything since we were little. And so because of that, I think it's really easy for us to communicate. But in general, like, they break off into subtopics. I mean, we talked a ton about Lamar Jackson, Right. And they weren't even mentioned on the the odds list, man. In the Browns, we found out that the Browns are a cheat code. If they get Aaron Rodgers, it's all over. It's like Thanos snapping the gauntlet. Man, is there anybody else?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'd say you can make a case for a lot of teams, right? Because it's Julio Jones, but
I mean, I'd say if we were talking about Rodgers, I want to see Miami go and make that move. Imagine Rodgers in Miami.
Oh, for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
That'd be fun to watch. I don't know how it would go.
I have no idea how it would go because I think they have a really good defense and they have a ton of weapons, but it's also Miami. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'd be a weird fit because Rodgers is coming from the frozen tundra to go to South Beach. Like, what?
You probably have a great time.
Yeah. He would look like he was following Brady's footsteps. Like, oh, I'm going to Florida with you. Like,
yeah, man.
No, I think that would be interesting. If Julio wants to win, though, I think the teams that we mentioned, except for like the Jaguars don't make any sense. I don't know how they're odds favorite, be honest with you. I don't know how they're in the top.
Maybe because people think they'll just push for him the hardest.
Yo, what about the Colts?
I don't think he would think he'll win there.
I don't think Chris Ballard would make that move because that's hefty, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think he would want to go there.
Patriots going to be in the mix. We should back away from Julio. We don't need him, says Jonathan Morales. Rams house, we don't need Julio based on our assessment before the season starts. Like Adam said, Stafford has thrived with people like Julio in the past. He's virtually always had big body 50-50 receivers. Our O-line will be worse and our defense will be worse. I don't know. I mean, how much worse? So is he saying that
you should get Julio?
I think he's agreeing. He's agreeing with what you said. Stafford has thrived with people like Julio in the past. He's virtually always had a big-bodied 50-50 receiver. That's a good point because even with Marvin Jones, but at the same time, he'll throw to anybody, which is
who was the other guy?
That was my argument against going out and getting Deshaun Jackson and drafting Tutu Atwell.
Kenny Galladay too.
Yeah, he was never healthy, but yeah.
But when he was good.
Oh yeah, man. The film is fun when you get Matthew Stafford thrown to not Julio Jones. Well, I mean, I'm sure that'd be a fun film, but the film is fun when you turn it on and Matthew Stafford is throwing jump balls to Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones, and it just looks like a video game. How they're just making that crazy one-handed Madden catch, like it's like a broken animation. Like they just continue to do all that, and it's crazy. But
so. Real quick, I think the last thing I want to touch on, because I'm obsessing over it, is the quarterbacks in this class this next year coming out. Have you done any more research on them? I know we talked about them before, but I'm going
to tell you right now, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. There's not anybody that fits your build.
No.
Like, because
awful.
it's all a bunch of guys that were inspired. They clearly watched Russell Wilson growing up, and so that's like what they're gonna try to do. You know what I mean? Like they're a bunch of like, and like I don't mind that. I'm a Wolford fan. You know, I think John Wolford could be a starter after Stafford for the Rams. So like I like that the small, the short, stocky, nimble quarterback, but I just don't think like for you like your 6'5", 230-pound quarterback. It doesn't have to be 230 pounds, but I'm sure that's like your ideal
that can
measurement.
move,
that can move. I just
like
don't.
Patrick Mahomes, like not fast, but can move with a big arm.
Yeah, see, I just don't know.
There's no one like that. It's awful. Desmond Ridder is probably the closest to it, but I don't like
Ridder
his
is the closest. Because you have Matt Corral from Ole Miss, 6'1", 205. You have Jaden Daniels, who's 6'3", but he's 185 pounds. You have JT Daniels, who's 6'3", he's 210. You have Dylan Gabriel, who's 6 feet, 186. You have Sam Howell. I don't like Sam Howell at all right now, personally. At all. I don't see it. I don't
love him. I don't think he's going to be like an elite quarterback, but I get why he's a first-round pick.
So he's like 6'2", 225 pounds. Then you have Phil Jurkovec from Boston College, 6'5", 226.
I watched him. Don't like him.
He's not very good, but like that's probably the build that you're looking for. And then you have Derek King at 5'11", 195 pounds. Tanner Morgan at 6'2", 215. Michael Penix Jr. at 6'3", 218. Brock Purdy, 6'1", 220. Then you have Spencer Rattler at 6'1", 205. Desmond Ridder, 6'4", 215.
He's probably my favorite quarterback, Rattler.
Did you see the Texas Tech kid, Tyler Show?
I don't think so.
6'5", 220.
Tyler Show.
It's SHOUJ. No, it's not that. SHOUGH.
Gotcha.
I know you don't. You don't like Slovis. I know that.
No, he's so Kyle Traskey to me.
Kyle Traskey is now a term, so that's jot that down. Man, I'm trying to think of who else.
So Texas Tech, Tyler Show, he's my saving grace. If he's got some talent,
hopefully for you. How tall is Carson? Oh, Carson Strong at 6'4", 215. That's like Jared Goff. You could play in Pittsburgh at 6'4", 215.
Hey, put on some weight.
Malik Willis is not a guy that you'd be interested in, but he's fun. Yeah, man, I'd probably say your last chance is Carson Strong at 6'4", 215.
That's the guy from Nevada?
Yeah. Is he any good? Oh, no.
His arm is big. He's got a big arm, but I just don't see it.
Yeah. Man, I'll be honest with you. Spencer Rattler and Ridder are my favorites.
I would say Spencer Rattler and then the guy you don't like, whatever his name was.
Howell.
Yeah, Howell.
I just think like, man, with you, I think like Ridder would work because if they got him to sit behind, but if they got him to sit behind Ben, and plus keep in mind he's coming back for another year, that was smart. That was something he doesn't get credit for, but that was actually very mature of him to come back.
To do that. Yeah,
because I think that will help him. He will progress. He will get better as a quarterback. I saw the tools, and I felt like that was somebody. Keep in mind, when I was talking about Ridder, I wasn't talking about starting Ridder. I was talking about picking him up and having Jared Goff or John Wolford start at quarterback. So now Ridder goes back. He might be able to start day one. We don't know what the final product will look like coming out of college, but who's to say the Steelers don't grab him and then just have Big Ben come back for a year and mentor him, or what I mean, like be the starter.
Something's got to give on these quarterbacks. We can't go into
because otherwise you're going to be looking at
draft is going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting if you don't get Ritter, you're not getting your prototypical style of quarterback, and it's going to be like so different than Ben. It'll probably be like Rattler,
which I just don't. I'm not a fan of. I know you like it, but for me, it's just not.
You know me. I'm from the camp of size is not a skill, but I understand your aspect of it because you're playing AFC North football. Means it's cold. Means you want big hands on a quarterback. Means you don't want that. Like I get that. Lamar Jackson does not actually equal an AFC North quarterback at all because he's got smaller hands but it's worked out.
Running affinity helps a lot.
It does. It creates a dynamic that hasn't existed in that division, really.
Yeah.
So, you have Baker. I think he's got smaller hands.
Yeah, they're not big, I don't think.
He's a shorter guy. And then, I mean, Burrow's perfect. As far as the size.
He's got smaller hands, though.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ritter. I mean, honestly, if I had to throw it out there, I would not be surprised if Desmond Ritter is a quarterback for the Steelers.
Yeah.
So
some of these quarterbacks, though, got to step up this season, or else.
Do you see them making any Yeah, no, I agree. Do you see them making any type of trade though?
To move up or trade?
No, trade for a quarterback because I mean, honestly, the Steelers, they're
I don't think so.
They're a great organization. They like to do it a certain way, but if they think the way you think, then maybe they'll just trade for somebody.
I wanted them to trade for Jordan Love towards the end of last season.
Okay.
When our season ended, I was like, let's trade for Jordan Love. I was like, he hasn't played. His value might be devalued a little bit. I was saying that, but
I think I'm definitely interested to see how they develop, if they do develop Dwayne Haskins at all.
I don't like him, bro.
I know, but you have to give him, an opportunity to the wonders it's going to be to actually be behind a quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger because he was the guy in Washington.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
I mean, he's got arm strength.
I just think that Washington gave up on him and didn't really try to help him out because it was a coaching regime change. And so I think the best thing that could have happened to him was going to the Steelers where things don't change like that. And who knows, maybe he's your starting quarterback. Maybe it's Ritter of the future. It will be really funny to go back and pull these clips if Haskins ends up being the real deal.
And I'd be happy to eat crow. Obviously, I would not care at all.
Oh man, the memes. There could be an entire highlight reel of Adam saying, "I don't like Dwayne Haskins," and then all of a sudden Dwayne Haskins goes off. Dwayne Haskins has won the Super Bowl.
I'd totally accept it. Make all the jokes. I would not care.
Well, and that's the thing. While you make takes, you and I both make takes on our YouTube, there's people that are too sold on their takes that they can't get off their high horse. And it's you and I are like, dude, I want to be wrong. I've said it so many. I've said it so many times. I've heard you say it before. You were talking about Freiermuth. You don't see the baby Gronk in him, but you're like, I'd love if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I want him to be. I don't want him to be bad, so I look good. That doesn't help.
Yeah, me. I don't want any player to be bad.
No,
that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to wish bad things upon these players. They work so hard, to be where they're at.
Exactly.
But I'm not gonna lie and say I see stuff I don't either. So.
No, I definitely hear you there. But yeah, I think that'll wrap that up. And then the next AJ show, episode 15, which will be in June. We're already in June, bro.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Time flies. The next AJ show we will have, we'll know where Julio Jones is going to end up.
Yes, hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, if he's not on a team in a week, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll see. I don't know.
He's forced himself out, so
yeah.
But that's going to do it for me. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Adam Grego, also known as Adam Steele. This is the AJ Show. We are signing off of episode 14, and we appreciate all of you guys. Comment section was lit today. Do appreciate that. That's the best way to put it, man. It was lit. But yeah, you guys can go follow Adam at Renegade Adam. You can follow me at JK Bogan, and you can follow the show at the AJ Show live.
Yes.
So that's gonna do it. You could say something.
Oh, thank you guys. Peace out. Till next time. See you next week in the studio.
In the studio.